Hi, today we're going to be making a top I call the covet top. It's a halter top that's designed to have a little more coverage. You can make this top for all sizes. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a top that should fit up to a 34D cup. I use a medium 4 weight yarn for this top and a 3.75mm hook. That's an F hook. The yarn in particular I'm using is Caron Simply Soft. It's a nice acrylic yarn, it has a nice sheen, but it's also very sturdy. So first thing we're going to do is put the yarn on the hook, and you're going to go ahead and chain 4. Then you're going to make 2 double crochets in the first chain from the hook. So the first chain. Just do 2 double crochets. This will be the beginning of the point on your triangle. Then we're going to chain 3. We'll do this at the end of every row. We'll chain 3. You're going to turn your work, and then in the first stitch you're going to do 2 double crochets. You're going to be doing actually 2 double crochets in each stitch across. So there's just 2 stitches, so just 2 double crochets in one stitch and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. That'll slowly increase our triangle by 1. Then chain 3, turn your work, and then this time we're doing 2 double crochets in the first stitch. You'll see a pattern here soon. So just do 2 double crochets and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch, just 1 double crochet. And then 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And then 1 double crochet. So we have 2, 1, 2, 1. So as we increase, we will always have 2 double crochet clusters, and in between the clusters you'll have just singular double crochets. So 1 double crochet in each stitch. So I'll show you again. So we're going to do 2 double crochets into the first stitch of every first stitch of every new row. Then to increase, we are just adding another double crochet into one stitch. So here I'm doing 2. The last one I only had 1. So now I have 1 extra double crochet in between. Do you see that? So then in the next one I will do my cluster again, because we only added 1 extra one. That means there will also be 1 extra double crochet on the end of the row. So I have my 2 double crochet cluster, and then I'm going to do 1 double crochet in one stitch and another double crochet in another stitch. So in the row before this one we have a 2, 1, 2, 1 pattern, and in this row we have a 2, 2, 2, 2 pattern. And in the next row it's going to be 2, 3, 2, 3, and the next row it's 2, 4, 2, 4. And of course the 2's represent you're doing 2 double crochets in one stitch. So that's basically the entire like triangle cup. I'll show you again. Do 2 double crochets in the first stitch, and then we're going to do 3 double crochets, 1 for each stitch. here's my third one, because remember on the previous row we did 2, so now we're adding an extra one, because that's how we increase. And then we're going to do our 2 double crochet clusters right after that. So I just want to reiterate what we're doing here. At the beginning of every row you're going to chain 3, and then you're going to do 2 double crochets into the first stitch, and then after that you're doing just double crochets, 1 in each stitch, and you're just going numerically up. So like I showed you in this one I had just done 3, so then in the next row I'm going to do 4 double crochets across, and after you do your double crochets, 1 for each stitch, then you do another cluster of 2 double crochets. The stitches remaining after the second double crochet cluster will always be equal, or should be equal, to the first the first double crochet grouping that you do, because your triangle is going to be equal on both sides. And I'm going to show you this again. Like I said, I jumped up ahead, so I will have more double crochets in between, but I've just been adding 1. So you're just adding 1 double crochet for each row. So the pattern will always be 2, a number, 2, the same number. So like I said, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 4. As you can see ahead, here I have gone ahead and done some more rows. I'm going to just show you again that they're going to be even on both sides of the triangle. So remember, we're always chaining 3 before we begin, and then do 2 double crochet clusters, or 2 double crochets into the first stitch, I'm sorry. And then we're going to be doing a series of double crochets, 1 in each stitch across. So I had 13 just regular double crochets, 1 in each stitch after my double crochet, 2 double crochets in the first stitch. And so now I am just going to be doing 2 double crochets in the next stitch after my 13. So my pattern will be 2, 13, 2, 13. So I usually will just tie off my yarn at this point at 13 spaces or 14. So if you remember our pattern, that would be 13 double crochets in between the 2 clusters. This is once again good for sizes up to 34 D-cup. So you're going to make 2 separate triangles the exact same way, and at the end of the second one we're going to line these up facing the same direction. So I just showed you real quickly, the bumpy side usually means the reverse, and the smooth side like this means that it's facing the right way. So it should look like that if you've done this amount of rows that I did. And I'm just single crocheting, or I'm sorry, I'm slip stitching them together in between a chain 3 space, but you could do it at any corner. And then I'm just going to tie off again, cut my yarn and tie off, and that will keep our bralettes pretty good. So now I'm going to attach a separate piece of yarn, and I'm going to begin making some more rows. First I'm going to attach it at the opposite end corner. This is so that I can keep my pattern going. As you can see, since we've been going back and forth, we have smooth surfaces and bumpy surfaces. So just attach a piece of yarn and then chain 3, and you're going to turn your work, the 2 bralettes that are attached, and you're just going to do 2 double crochets into the first stitch again like we have been doing, I'm going to keep increasing. This will help me reduce the chances of any side boob. And if you have a wider bust, then this will be good too, to keep increasing at the sides. So for this next portion of the design, it's a lot easier, I think, to understand than what I was trying to say about increasing with the triangle cups, because you're going to be doing your 2 double crochets into the first stitch and the last stitch only. So there's no like tricks, you're just doing double crochets across, one in each stitch all the way to the end. And at the very end, you're just doing 2 double crochets. So 2 double crochets in the first stitch, 2 double crochets in the last stitch, and in between them just a row of double crochets. When you get to that space where you did the slip stitch and you attach the 2 cups together, what I do, I just do a double crochet right in the middle, right on top of it. So yeah, just 1 double crochet right into the middle gap there. And then I just continue with my double crochets through each stitch till I reach the end, and I do in my last stitch I do 2 double crochets. So these rows, like I said, they end and begin with 2 double crochets in the stitches. First and last stitch, get 2 double crochets, and that will just be, it will continue to increase around your bust if you want side coverage as well as front coverage. I do this for about 4 extra rows, 4 to 6. It's up to you. It's a preferential thing how much you want to keep increasing. You can hold the top up to your bust to kind of get an idea of how much more you'll need to increase to go around. But yeah, I do 4 to 6 more rows like this, and then I'll show you what I do after. So I'm just going to jump ahead. Before I continue, here's what it looks like with just the triangle cups and the additional increases. So I did 6 rows of the additional increases. And now all I'm going to do is add a few more rows, and they're just going to be regular double crochet rows. There's not going to be any increasing or anything like that, so just go ahead and you don't have to tie off your yarn. You can just continue from where you left off. Chain 3 at the end of every row, turn your work, and then just do double crochets all the way across. And you can do this for as many rows as you like. It depends on how long you want your top. I think I do mine for another 4 or 5 rows of this. So here I have now the covet top completely done with all the rows. I'm satisfied with this length. I've just added a few additional just regular DC rows here. So I just added about 4 or 5. I've added 5 DC rows. Now I'm going to make a border, like a side panel to go across the back. Mine's not going to be that long. You can make yours as long as you need. If you have a wider back, you're going to want to do more rows. Anyways, just chain 3, and I just go in through these like tiny little holes on the side. There's no real clear indication on how to do this, but I just do double crochets in about, depending on how thick you want this side panel to be, will determine how many double crochets that you do. I usually go all the way up the side until I reach where the increases from the rows before just the regular double crochets begin. And I'll show you that here. So you can see here there's a 2 double crochets and 1 stitch right there, so I'm just going to stop here so that my panel is kind of smooth. And then you just chain 3 at the end and you just do double crochet rows until you have the length that you want. I do only 4 rows of just double crochet here. So here's what it looks like when I'm done. I've got 4 rows. I think I did 5, but normally I do 4 of this. And then at the end I also like to do chain 3, and then I'll double crochet, and I'll do like I'll make like little gaps. So I'll chain 2, and then I'll skip 2 stitches, and I'll do a double crochet in the 3rd stitch, and then chain 2 again, and then skip 2 again, and I'll do this until I get to the end. This is makes it easier for when I put the ties onto this top. I lace it up through the back, and this just makes it easier to stick the ties through. So I'll do this on both sides of the border. When you're done with one side, just do the other side the exact same way. Just tie on some yarn. And we're almost done with this top. So once you're at the end of the opposite row, or when you've attached your other little border piece, this is how I do my picot stitches around. So first I chain 1, and right into that little gap space I just do a single crochet. You don't have to do this picot stitch, by the way, but this is what the top looks like. So then I chain 3, and I just do a slip stitch right into that same single crochet that I made. And there's no exact science for this, or math I should say, so it's not always going to be like 100% even, but I guarantee you won't notice. Anyways, then once I do that, I chain 5, and then I'll slip stitch again into the single crochet that I made. And I'll finish off this little picot stitch with another chain 3. And once I'm done doing that, I will slip stitch right back into that single crochet we made. And you'll have like a little cauliflower looking popcorn picot stitch thing. After our picot stitch, we're going to chain 3 right at the end. And then I'm just going to count 3 of these open spaces, and they're going to count as like stitches to me. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, and then I will do 1, 2, 3, and then I will just make a single crochet in the fourth one after that. So I'll just count these little holes on the sides and then single crochet right into that. And then after that single crochet, I will chain 3 again, and I will count 3 spaces again. Once you get to your stitches, you won't have to like work hard to like count these little holes. But anyways, then I will single crochet on the fourth one, and then I will begin the picot stitch again, which is chain 3. Once you've chained 3, remember to slip stitch right back into the single crochet that you made. And then after slip stitching, go ahead and chain 5. And then slip stitch it into the single crochet. And then chain 3. And do your final slip stitch. And this will be, you'll be doing this picot stitch border all the way across to the very end. So after each picot stitch, remember you're going to chain 3 again. After you chain 3, skip 3 spaces or stitches depending on how far along you are. And then you're just going to single crochet into the 4th space or stitch. And then you're going to chain 3 again. And single crochet after skipping 3 stitches, and do your picot stitch. And this is just going to continue, so you can go back, rewind it, and rewatch the instructions, because this is the whole pattern at the end of the border. So here's what all the picots will look like when they're at the bottom of this top. And once you're done, you can just go ahead and tie off your yarn, and then we'll do the picots just like this in between the cleavage. So you're going to go ahead and just attach another piece of yarn, and you're going to be slip stitching it on into one of the top corners of your top. I usually do it into like one of the DCs or the chain 3 spaces. Once you got a place, go ahead and chain 1, and then single crochet into that same chain space, and then chain 3, and we're just going to continue the picot stitch along down this. The only difference is that we're not really working into stitches, we're working into like spaces, which will be pretty easy to see. So ahead and do your first picot stitch, your chain 5, insert it to the same single crochet space you made, and then chain 3. Then you're going to go ahead and chain 3, and you're just going to count the little spaces on the side. I count every single little space I see. So I have 1, 2, 3, that's kind of what it looks like, and then you are going to be single crocheting in the 4th space. So it will look like that. Go ahead and chain 5. I'm sorry, chain 3. And then count again, 1, 2, 3 spaces, and then in the 4th one you're doing a single crochet. And we're just going to continue this along until we get to not the very center, but like an inch or 2 from the center. So just work your way doing the picot stitch down this little slope, and then when you get about an inch or two above the V section in the center, I'll tell you what to do next. So once you've kind of gotten down to the center, about an inch away from the very center, you can see what the picot stitches will look like. From here, I just make like 4 or 5 chains across to connect it to the other side. You can probably do this multiple ways, creating a little border, but this is this way I do it. So I just chain 5, and then I line it up with the other side to make sure that it's even, and then I'm just going to be attaching it with a single crochet. Then from there, I'm just going to be continuing my picot stitch. So whatever you end up doing on the last side, you're going to do on the side. So chain 3, and then count your 3 spaces, and then single crochet in the 4th chain. You're just going to do this until you get all the way back to the top, and it should match the other side. So now, as you can see, this is what it will look like. That's all that we have to do for this top, basically. I'm just going to weave in our ends now, and then I'll show you how to put on the ties. I do a cross back style, but you can do whatever style you like. Make sure you have a yarn needle on hand. And then I will just attach the yarn to the top corner, just next to the picot we made, but not like in the picot. But this is a preference. And then I chain around maybe 150, 160 for my straps, because they're going to be crossed back. So I'm tying them at the top, and then I'm going to slip them through the sides. I'll show you in a minute. So what you, excuse me, once you have your ties on both sides, we're just gonna flip it around and just slide your strings into, there's this like little corner where before you have those, like that thick back piece, I like to put them in there. You don't have to, you can just put them directly into those little holes we made when we did the back section, the little sidebars. But I do this for, I like my tops to be very tight when I wear them, so I'll put them like that there, and I think it adds extra support. You're just lacing them up, and this is it. This is the finished piece. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. I'm sorry these are kind of long. I think for my more detailed pieces it's really hard to dumb it down, but I just actually finished my first written pattern, and I'm having my pattern testers test it, and that should be available soon. And hopefully I'll have even more written patterns for you guys soon. They're going to be on my website. If you're subscribed to my Patreon, you'll get 1 free pattern a month for just joining the $5 tier, as well as you'll get a free tutorial every month before everyone on YouTube gets them, usually a month in advance before everyone on YouTube gets them. I'll have more info on that on my Instagram page on the Black Hand side. You can join me there, and you can also send me your work so I can see your finished product. And yeah, if you have any questions, contact me at on the Black Hand side or my email eurythmik@gmail.com. Thanks so much again for watching, guys.